Cheers, pro-lifers. My name is Matt Britton, Chairman of the Board of 40 Days for Life, and I have just returned from a week-long trip in New Zealand, where I was inducted into the All Blacks Rugby Hall of Fame, and where in a single week, 40 Days for Life saved the kiwi from extinction. Okay, I'm kidding about that, but I am Matt Britton, Chairman of the Board of 40 Days for Life, and I really was in New Zealand, and I'd like to thank so much the great folks at FLI, Michael Loretz and Michelle and Colleen, as well as Claire in Wellington and Connor Eatwell in Christchurch for hosting me and making this trip possible. You know, New Zealand is a small country, 5 million people, and it's obviously halfway around the world. Literally, it took me 29 hours to get there and 29 hours to get back, but it was well worth it. With 5 million people, New Zealand has just reached the sad landmark of having aborted 500,000 of their babies since 1974. That means that 1/10 of their current population is gone. Abortion in New Zealand is largely free. They have a socialized medicine system, but there are some places where people, for instance, if you're not from New Zealand, have to pay for an abortion. And in Auckland, the largest private abortion center, is where Michael and Colleen and Michelle staged their 40 Days for Life, across the street from a private abortion clinic where they have protesters paid to stand across the street and hold up signs such as "honk if you're for choice." At the end of the 2014 Auckland 40 Days for Life campaign, they got an amazing call from the director of the abortion clinic. A woman had shown up at the abortion clinic and did not have enough money to pay for her abortion. And so the director of the clinic called the number on the 40 Days for Life signs, referred this woman to 40 Days for Life and Family Life International. The woman chose life, and actually Colleen, the director of FLI, took the woman into her own home. And in a double miracle, the father of the baby realized what he had done wrong and married the woman so that he could be a good husband and a good father. And they're together today. And this year, when we were at the opening day of the 40 Days for Life in Auckland in front of the same clinic, the same abortion facility director walked across the street and shook Michael Loretz's hand and said to him, "Thank you." I went down to Wellington and met with Claire and her fantastic team, and we stood in front of the public hospital there, which in Maori, Maoris are the indigenous people of New Zealand, in Maori is spring of life. And again, high school, they call it a college, but high school age girls came out during the day and counter-protested, they call it, against us, standing on the street, these young women with signs, "honk for choice." After that, I went down to Christchurch and again prayed with Connor Eatwell and his team in front of a public hospital where they were facing battles like the city council telling them to take down their 40 Days for Life sign. Despite these obstacles, the great folks in New Zealand are waging the battle against abortion and not allowing the government to pay to have another 1/10 of their population destroyed before they're even born. I'd like you to join me in watching some of the miracles that happened in some of the stories in the following video, and I hope that you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed being down there with those great folks. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the United States. Hello, my name is Matt Britton, Chairman of the Board of 40 Days for Life, and I'm here on the street with a bunch of other folks praying in front of a private, very rare private abortion clinic in Auckland, New Zealand, and we're trying to end abortion here on this street corner in Auckland and throughout the country here. And I'd like to ask Michael Loretz, who's with me, that's a supporter. I'd like to ask Michael, who's with me, to tell us a little bit about the history of abortion in New Zealand and what has happened to it, and also his organization and how they have teamed up with 40 Days for Life, how long you've been doing it, and what successes or hardships you've had.
Mm-hmm. Well, New Zealand has abortion still as a crime here, but since 1977 the government put 2 amendments in so that women could have legal abortions if they felt that their mental health was at risk or if their physical health was at risk. And there's also provision in the law for women who have had an adverse pregnancy diagnosis, such as a disabled child. And so effectively in New Zealand we have abortion on demand. It's really sad that 500,000 million Kiwi children, their lives are snuffed out before they even had a chance. But that means that in New Zealand there's not really a family that doesn't have an abortion story. Every family in New Zealand's been affected by this tragedy. So that's why we're here to pray and offer a public witness. Many people in this neighbourhood don't know that abortions are happening right here. You can see the clinic behind me is quite subtle. It has subtle signage. It's called the Auckland Medical Aid Centre. But our presence here draws attention to the fact that this is happening in our community, and we're here to help, and we're here to help stop this tragedy from happening.
And if you're doing something good, you don't want subtle signage, do you? You want neon signs and advertise what we're doing, don't we? Somehow they must know they're operating in the dark.
Well, yeah, I believe in every human being there's a conscience written, and it is obvious that they want to couch this in euphemisms and to try and hide the reality. The reality is that every human life has dignity. That it's not just a bunch of cells in the womb. We're talking about the destruction of children's lives, I don't think they want many people to know about that. I've been supporting 40 Days for Life and running campaigns in Auckland and Wellington for the last 3 years. This is our 4th campaign. We see this as very, very important for our mission, because we know that the answer to this problem, this tragedy of abortion in our community, is Jesus Christ. And so we're here to pray. We're here to provide public witness and outreach to the women that are coming for their abortions. Abortion is publicly funded in New Zealand, and so women can get abortions for free as long as they're covered by the National Health Service. But this is a private clinic, so it caters mainly for immigrant women and students from overseas, and those people who want to go to a private clinic. It opened well before the abortion laws changed in 1973, and our laws changed in 1977. It was closed down once before because of illegal abortions, and then they changed the law, it reopened. So our goal is to see it close, and we hope to see that during a 40 Days for Life campaign, so that's why we're here.
I am here standing on a street corner in Wellington at the Wellington Regional Hospital, which I understand that sign means Spring of Life, but actually they do abortions. And I am here with the 40 Days for Life leader in her 4th year, right?
Yes, that's
Claire,
right.
Can you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about the campaign?
Hi, Matt. Welcome to Wellington. We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have you here. This is our 4th campaign, yes. We're running from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m, a 12-hour shift, and we're in our 4th year. We're just blessed to be able to be part of this worldwide movement that's doing so much to change hearts and minds, to see the day that's coming when abortion will be unthinkable, and not only in New Zealand but all around the world.
Claire, what has been your biggest challenge doing a 40 Days for Life here in Wellington? And tell us about maybe one or two of the biggest blessings that you have seen here on the street corners in Wellington.
Right, the blessings are easy to talk about. I think we've seen women come up to us who've had abortions and they didn't know that there is help available for them. They've had just appreciated the chance to talk to somebody about their painful past and the pressure they were under. That's been one of the major blessings, being able to confirm with a young woman the fetal development of her babies. The hardest thing is that our abortions are within our health system. We've got socialised medicine here, so for me that's the hardest thing, seeing that it's so ingrained in our culture that the young people have become quite hardened to it. They don't know anything different. They don't even realise that, it's only a matter of 50, 60 years ago abortions were illegal here. So it's very hard to break through that, but we believe that with God all things are possible, and we will keep praying for that for them. Yeah.
I'm here in Christchurch, New Zealand, which is in southern New Zealand, but it's colder. And I'm here with Connor Eatwell, who is the leader in the Christchurch 40 Days for Life campaign. Hi, Connor.
Hi, Matt.
So I'm going to ask Connor to tell us a little bit about abortion and abortion laws and how many babies are aborted here in New Zealand in general, and then right here at this hospital, which is I think the main hospital for Christchurch.
Yeah, so abortion is actually illegal in New Zealand. It's in the Crimes Act, and it's actually, the Crimes Act is titled With Consideration for the Unborn Child, and so it's really unusual that we're in this situation where there are so many abortions pretty much on demand. And that's because there's a clause in it that can say if you've got mental health issues, which can be anything, like a fear of acne, that can allow you to have an abortion. And so in New Zealand we're down to 13,000 abortions every year, which is horrendous, but it's down from much more in previous years. So we're thankful that it's coming down. And Christchurch in particular has, we had 1,545 in 2015, and so that's again down from 1,638. So we're really thankful it's coming down, but it's just too many when you think about the number of classrooms of children that are missing from Christchurch every year.
Yeah, actually you've hit the 500,000th baby aborted this year, didn't you, in New Zealand overall since 1977?
Yeah, that's right. So that's 500,000. Think about that. That's more than Christchurch. It's half of Auckland. That's an entire city gone.
That's 10% of your current population.
Yeah. So for New Zealand, that's huge. And you think about the number of women who are walking around with that wound in their hearts as well. You're guaranteed to meet people down here who are just hurting so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Con.
Thanks, Matt.
We have our challenge, but we got more blessing than that. So very happy to be part of it. Yeah.
The whole abortion issue, I think, is one that is still very, very clearly shows to people the reality of right and wrong, of sin and of righteousness.
I think the biggest challenge praying outside the abortion clinic is to be consistent and to be wholehearted in our prayers, to also be present and to really pray from the heart. That's the biggest challenge I find.
When I stand here and pray with fellow believers, I just feel like God's pleased with us. I lift my heart up to the throne of God. I feel like He's really pleased that someone's watching what's happening.
My name is Andre Leclerc. I'm 19 years old, and as a young Catholic, this 40 days for life means a lot to me, as I'd rather stand with God than stand with the rest of the world. And it doesn't mean I have to understand everything about abortion, but as long as I'm standing with God, you can't go wrong.